Tonight, breaking news. Dangerous weather on the move with more than 60 million Americans under winter weather alerts, plus new information on the suspect in the New Year's terror attack, including what he did during prior trips to New Orleans. But we begin with that massive bone-chilling winter storm impacting the post-holiday rush, causing spin-outs and pile-ups on highways, jackknife trucks and crashes involving first responders. A swath of snow and freezing rain from the Central Plains to the Mid-Atlantic, covering 18 states in all, plus tornado warnings in the south. Our weather team times it all out. The news just in from New Orleans. Investigators say the suspect in the New Year's truck attack made 2 prior trips to the city using meta glasses to record video of the French Quarter. There's new video showing him placing coolers filled with explosives just after midnight and the chilling message he left for his own family. President Biden prepares to join the victims' families this week. And what's being done to tighten security in the nation's capital with 2 major events in the coming days. Also tonight, Ukraine launches a new offensive inside Russia with growing concern over what will happen after Donald Trump returns to the White House. One top Republican warns the U.S. would be making a big mistake if it allows Ukraine to fall. Police wrestle an American Olympic medalist to the ground and then turn a stun gun on him. What led to his violent arrest? New video captures the terrifying moments on board a commuter plane with flames erupting from one of the wings as it careened down a runway. Long lines and short tempers. Members of the Ski Patrol go on strike against one of the country's biggest resorts at the height of the season. Remembering Jimmy Carter, Americans pay respects to the 39th president and the emotional tributes from his family. And America Strong tonight, from rock stars to athletes, politicians to philanthropists, the recipients of the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian award.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. More than 60 million Americans in 18 states are on alert for a massive winter storm sweeping across the country from Kansas all the way to the I-95 corridor. Washington, D.C. bracing for up to 10 inches of snow. That would be the most snow the capital has seen in 3 years. Officials in Topeka, Kansas are warning residents to stay home due to blizzard conditions there. The storm is to blame for this massive pileup on an interstate in Kansas City, the roadway covered in ice, causing multiple tractor trailers to jackknife. We have team coverage tonight. Meteorologist Samar Theodore times it all out. Alex Perche reports from Washington, and ABC's Victor Oquendo leads us off tonight from Cincinnati.
Tonight, more than 60 million Americans are under alert for a major winter storm. Blizzard warnings for parts of Kansas and Missouri. This system expected to strike 18 states with heavy snow, freezing rain, and dangerous icy conditions. Parts of Kansas already seeing over a foot of snow.
So though the intensities may come and go for the next few hours, the worst is yet to come.
The Department of Transportation in Kansas telling residents the majority of roads there are covered in snow or ice, urging people to stay home. First responders are struggling with these treacherous conditions. According to the Kansas Highway Patrol, this trooper showing how quickly the snow is falling.
We've got a lot of drifting. I mean, this is my patrol car. If we get right here, you can see how much is just sort of building up around the vehicle.
In Missouri, this massive pileup on I-470. Trucks jackknifed, blocking traffic. Multiple cars spinning out on the highway, some drivers stuck there for nearly 2 hours. Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky now also seeing snow. One car flipped over in Kentucky, several others stranded in snowdrifts. One officer's vehicle struck there. That officer receiving medical treatment with non-life-threatening injuries. Up to 2 inches falling an hour in some areas. Indiana and Kentucky already seeing more than 6 inches of snow, with more to come as the storm heads east. And in Cincinnati, snowplows and salt hitting I-75. Some cars already disabled by the extreme conditions. In Utah, this controlled avalanche caught on camera, the state seeing heavy snow from this system last week.
Lindsay, dangerous conditions on the roads here in Cincinnati as well. Officials have issued travel and snow advisories, and tonight this storm has become deadly. Authorities in Kansas say that a 27-year-old man died in a car accident. Lindsay?
Hopefully people can heed those warnings to stay off the roads. Victor Kendo, our thanks to you. The storm is also causing major disruptions to air travel. More than 6,000 flights canceled or delayed, and tomorrow could be even worse. ABC's Alex Brochet joins us now from the nation's capital. Alex, what can travelers expect?
Hey, Lindsay, it is going to be rough tonight and into tomorrow morning at airports across the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic. Already more than 1,500 flight cancellations across the country, and that number is going to continue to rise. We're already seeing airlines cancel flights for tomorrow, but many are also offering aid for affected flyers. Now, for those states in the path of the storm, they could see more snow than they've seen in more than a decade. A state of emergency has already been declared in a number of places, including Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, West Virginia, and Virginia. Maryland has also declared a state of preparedness. And tonight, the governor of Virginia out with a message to travelers saying stay alert and prepare now for any potential impacts. Lindsay?
A number of warnings there in the Mid-Atlantic in particular. Alex, thank you. Let's bring in ABC News meteorologist Samara Theodore. Samara, we've talked about snow and ice, but it's also bringing severe weather to the south. What can residents there expect?
Yes, Lindsay. In fact, a tornado has already been reported in Arkansas, and right now a tornado watch is in effect from eastern Texas through Louisiana into Mississippi. On the northern tier of the storm, that's where we're dealing with the snowfall tonight along I-70. By tomorrow morning, this could be a commuting mess for the Mid-Atlantic, specifically the Washington, D.C. area along I-95 in southern Virginia is where we could see icing around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And the storm system will linger through tomorrow evening. By the time it's all said and done, up to a half an inch of significant icing could be occurring in northern Kentucky, and Washington, D.C. is in for potentially their biggest snowstorm in 3 years. After this is done on Thursday, temperatures in D.C. will feel like 2 degrees below zero, and that's the day of the final procession for President Jimmy Carter. Lindsay?
We'll see if that'll have any impact there. Samara, thank you. New details tonight in the deadly New Year's attack in New Orleans. Authorities released images they say were taken by the suspect when he visited New Orleans several months ago, as well as footage of what they say is the suspect with an IED the night of the attack. They say he visited the city twice before killing 14 people there. ABC's Trevor Ault reports from New Orleans tonight.
Tonight, the FBI unveiling a detailed timeline of the New Year's attack in New Orleans.
We have a clearer picture today than we did even 2 days ago.
They say the suspect, 42-year-old Army veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar, drove to Louisiana from Texas, arriving in the city around 10 p.m. New Year's Eve. Just after midnight at 12:15, investigators say he set a fire inside a house he rented in the city and headed for the French Quarter. At 1:53 a.m., he can be seen placing a cooler, which authorities say contained an IED, on Bourbon Street and St. Peter. And a half hour later at 2:20, he placed a second cooler on Bourbon and Toulouse. Less than an hour after that, at 3:15, he raced his rented Ford F-150 down Bourbon Street, killing 14 people and injuring dozens more.
During these past few years, lone actors, or small cells of individuals who typically radicalize to violence online and who primarily use easily accessible weapons, have posed the greatest terrorism threat to our homeland.
And authorities say the casualties could have been much higher. The fire inside the rental home burned out before it could spread to the accelerants Jabbar had placed inside, and the detonator Jabbar tried to use to set off those IEDs inside the coolers failed before Jabbar was killed in a shootout with law enforcement.
He didn't use the correct device to set it off, and that is just indicative of his inexperience.
Investigators revealing Jabbar traveled to New Orleans twice in the months before the attack, filming this video as he rode around the French Quarter on a bicycle. He also traveled to Egypt and Ontario, Canada in 2023. Authorities now investigating whether those trips could be related to his radicalization. Sources telling ABC News Jabbar recorded several videos while en route to Louisiana in which he claimed he joined ISIS earlier this year and told his family he also contemplated harming them, saying, "I don't want you to think I spared you willingly." Overnight, the New Orleans community holding a candlelight vigil to remember the lives taken. Today, the New Orleans Saints playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a moment of silence before kickoff.
In memory of the victims, their families, and loved ones.
Many gathering for Sunday Mass at St. Louis Cathedral, just blocks from the attack.
Lord, hear our prayer. And President Biden will be here in New Orleans tomorrow. The mayor says she'll be asking him for federal security assistance as we head toward Mardi Gras. Lindsay.
Cover all for us. Thanks so much. On the heels of the New Orleans attack, officials in Washington, D.C. are boosting already tight security ahead of major events this month, including the Carter funeral and the presidential inauguration. And tomorrow, the certification of the election. Let's bring in ABC's Mary Alice Parks. Mary Alice, what major changes are we expecting to see this week?
And for the first time, January 6th has been designated a national special security event at the request of D.C.'s mayor after the violent attack on the Capitol 4 years ago. That means that Secret Service has been planning for months, bringing in more resources to guard the Capitol for the counting of the Electoral College votes tomorrow. So far, no groups have announced plans to protest, and the Capitol Police have made significant changes in the last few years, too. But on Thursday, former presidents, cabinet members, and foreign dignitaries are all expected to attend the state funeral for former President Jimmy Carter as well. We know about 4,000 additional police officers from around the country are here to help D.C. police. They will be using drones, large fencing, and the National Guard has been activated as well. Lindsay?
Not taking any chances. Mary Alice from the White House, thank you. Tonight, the nation is remembering its 39th president. From peanut farmer to president, Jimmy Carter began his final journey from rural Georgia this weekend. Veterans of his Secret Service detail escorted his remains. In Atlanta, thousands are lining up to pay their respects. Carter will lie in repose at the Carter Presidential Center until Tuesday. ABC's senior national correspondent Steve Osinsami reports from Atlanta.
For the family of Jimmy Carter, who has had to share the former president with the rest of the world for so long, it was deeply moving to see people lined up on roadsides and above highways saying goodbye.
Man, in that motorcade, there was a lot of love on the side of the road. Every overpass had people on it. It was amazing.
Some of them were children who were nowhere near born when the 39th president ran the country. One woman held a sign saying what so many felt: President Carter, a man of honor. There were people of all colors, rural, urban, Democrat and Republican alike, teachers and students, with photos of themselves and the Carters.
I am a cadet at Riverside Military Academy here at the Carter Center to pay my last tributes to my hero.
On the way to Atlanta,
Present arms.
They stopped outside his family's old farm in front of a bell they used to ring every morning when he was a child, telling them it was time to work. On this day, they rang it 39 times. Before he died, the former president told his children he wanted the first service to take place at the Carter Center with the staff, scientists, and peacemakers who worked with the Carters for so long.
He was an amazing man, and he was held up and propped up and soothed by an amazing woman. And the two of them together changed the world. And it was an amazing thing to watch from so close.
We will spend this week celebrating this incredible life, and a life that I think we can all agree is as full and powerful as any life can be. As someone said, it's amazing what you can cram into 100 years.
This is very much a celebration for a long and remarkable life well lived.
The public visitation here continues until Tuesday morning, and then the former president's remains will be moved to Washington, where there is another public visitation, and then the state funeral on Thursday, where President Biden is expected to deliver the eulogy. Then he will come back home for a private ceremony where he will be buried alongside his wife. It is a spot near their house that they picked together before she passed. Lindsay?
A man whose work touched so many. Steve, thank you. Overseas now, Ukraine appears to be going on the offensive against Russia, attempting to seize more territory inside the Kursk region of the country, the same area where Ukraine mounted a major offensive in August. What's behind the sudden move? Details now from ABC's Patrick Reevell.
Tonight, Ukrainian forces suddenly on the offensive once again inside Russia. Ukrainian tanks seen advancing into the Russian border region of Kursk, filmed from a Russian drone closing in. Russian state media showing Russian troops directing fire onto Ukrainian columns as they attack. Ukraine seized a foothold in Kursk with a surprise offensive back in August, capturing hundreds of square miles of Russian territory. But since then, Russia has slowly driven Ukraine back. recently also helped by thousands of North Korean troops. Ukraine's move comes as it tries to strengthen its hand for expected peace negotiations once President-elect Donald Trump enters office, just over 2 weeks from today.
President Trump does want to end the war, have a peaceful negotiation. We're all for that, but it's got to be on terms that do not throw Ukraine under the bus.
It's still unclear how significant this offensive is, but it appears that Ukraine may be trying to shore up its hold on Russian territory in order to use it as a bargaining chip in any talks after President Trump's inauguration. Lindsay.
Patrick, thank you. Here in New York, congestion pricing has gone into effect, the first of its kind in the nation. Drivers crossing into Midtown below 60th Street will be hit with a toll. ABC's Ike Jachi reports from Manhattan.
Tonight, New York City's highly debated congestion pricing is now in effect. It's the first of its kind in the United States. The plan charging drivers $9 to enter what the MTA calls the congestion relief zone, the busiest part of Manhattan, home to iconic landmarks.
1,400 cameras, over 110 detection points, separate detection points on the borders of the congestion zone.
According to INRIX, a traffic analytic company, New York City has the worst traffic in the U.S., followed by Chicago, Los Angeles, and Boston. Following months of delay from lawsuits, administrators say the plan aims to reduce traffic gridlock for the almost 5 million people commuting into the city for work, all while raising billions of dollars to help fix the city's ailing public transit infrastructure. Opponents say the plan will do little to reduce traffic, all while punishing drivers from outside Manhattan.
You just got charged $9. How do you feel?
Oh my God, just another one to add to the bills.
Other cities like Washington and San Francisco have looked into the plan, and cities overseas already on board. London, Milan, Stockholm already have similar plans in place. Singapore has charged drivers since the mid-70s. Lindsay, President-elect Trump, whose Manhattan tower lies within the zone, says he strongly disagrees with the governor's decision, vowing to repeal the measure once in office. Lindsay?
A lot of mixed feelings from drivers. Ike, thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, including the violent altercation between an American Olympian and police. What led to his arrest? Next tonight, we have new video of an Olympic medalist being arrested in Miami Beach. Body camera footage shows sprinter Fred Curley arguing with officers Thursday. They claim he was interfering with an investigation. He was then wrestled to the ground and hit with a stun gun. He was released on bond Saturday night. Curley took bronze in the 100 meters at the Paris Olympics. When we come back, what caused the big disruption at one of America's largest ski resorts? To the index now, and the frightening moments captured on video when a plane caught fire while landing. This was the scene inside the Air Canada Express flight. Flames erupting from the left wing after a hard landing in Halifax on December 28th. Air Canada says there may have been an issue with the landing gear. A number of skiers say their vacations were ruined by the ongoing ski patrol strike at Utah's Park City Mountain Resort. There were long lines at lifts. Fewer than a third of the mountain's 350 trails were open this weekend on what is traditionally one of its busiest times. 200 ski patrollers are demanding higher pay. When we come back, America Strong, the new recipients of the country's highest civilian honor. Finally tonight, a special award for a special group.
In his final days in the White House, our nation's highest civilian honor bestowed upon 19 people on Saturday.
Thank you for all you've done to help this country.
Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Rousing standing ovation for former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Her nomination for president broke barriers and inspired generations. Michael J. Fox.
Beloved award-winning actor Michael J. Fox, revered for his Parkinson's disease research and advocacy.
Channeling his endearing personality to advance treatments, move us closer to a cure. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Some medals awarded posthumously. A niece of the late civil rights icon Fannie Lou Hamer accepted the award on her behalf.
She spoke truth to power to expand political participation and economic rights for all Americans. Irvin Magic Johnson.
Legendary basketball player Magic Johnson flashing that megawatt smile.
His honesty about his HIV status shattered stigma and saved lives.
The president with one final message for us all.
Stay engaged, to never give up, to always keep the faith.
Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Now cannons. Black is building on our allies' territory. He's trying to save his ass. We are our first line of defense. I mean, I am our first line of defense. Our one and only line of defense. Cuirassiers are very strong, so I'm making this kind of unit. Okay. Very powerful, guys, very powerful. Rest reduce the cost because they are very expensive. I do not have a market and I could use one a lot. There you go. We are on the right path. We don't need any more peasants. We've got the mountains there. We also have the walls. Let's take the idle peasants and let's start building the wall. Here we are. Let's trade coal for gold. Okay, the peacetime is over really soon. Firepower, let's increase it. I'm gonna guard the peasants with one cav, making sure nobody captures them. Everybody still makes units.